You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. The brothers are in the building, starting off as always with my man Jay Moore. How are you, good sir?
Doing well. You know what it is. Peace, freedom, and reparations.
My man.
Feel like I just saw y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Something might be coming out that'll show that in a little bit. My man Lonegevity, how are you, sir?
Hey, doing all right.
Yeah.
Busy day.
Yeah.
Lots of edits.
Well, you're the edit master, sir.
I don't know about that, but I'm here.
Other than that, everything good your way?
Yeah, everything's good.
All right. I can dig it. DJ Jay Diff, what's happening, man?
Salutations.
How are you, sir?
I'm good and ready and prepared, you know?
That's what I'm talking about. Show up to work ready and prepared.
Yep.
All right, so this kind of got lost in the shuffle with Kendrick dropping a new album, but De La Soul is exploring legal options after the publication and release of a new, what they call unauthorized book called High and Rising, a book about De La Soul by Marcus J. Moore.
No relation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So on Tuesday, November 19th, author Marcus J. Moore published his new book, High and Rising, a book about De La Soul, on Day Street Books. Today, the legendary hip-hop group took to social media to denounce the unauthorized book, saying they're exploring all of our legal options. Friends and De La family, we've been receiving congratulatory messages about a book called High and Rising. However, we want to make it absolutely clear this is an unauthorized book, and we are not connected to it in any way. For years, you've stood with us in our fight for ownership of our catalog and the right to benefit from the music we created. That same dedication to protecting what's ours extends to being the one who tells our story, something deeply personal and De La to the core. Our story will be told in our words, in our way, with the style you've come to know and love. Until then, we encourage you to indulge in the authentic Daisy age by supporting projects backed by us. If you choose to support this book, that is your right. We just wanted to be clear that we do not and are exploring all of our legal options. Even within the book's title, the 3 is missing, which shows how inauthentic it is, because for us, 3 will always be the magic number. We're cooking up something special for spring 2025, so the wait won't be long for more of that authentic De La. You guys have any initial thoughts on that statement?
You know, it's kind of crazy because I remember in the 80s specifically when there were a lot of, unauthorized biographies of celebrities. I remember there was one, I remember one about Michael Jackson happening. I know Liz Taylor, of that era where it was, but this is when the tabloid thing was very heavy, and like some of those people would wind up, writing entire books. So, I mean, in a way, I of course I'm not going to buy this. No. If the group tells me that they don't support it, and that this is something inauthentic, then I'm going to abide by their wishes. I'm a fan enough of De La Soul to do that. But there are people who just don't have the same investment as far as hip hop, or even just by the group to care enough. They just want the information. I think that it almost is, in a way. I know there's some people who are like, wow, you've really made it if you got somebody writing an unauthorized biography.
I don't think this is a biography, though.
Or just
it's just a book about De La from Marcus J. Moore's interpretation.
Okay.
And when, like his take on stuff.
I mean, because I saw somebody do this on basically, kind of about In Living Color. But it didn't have the Wayans brothers involved with it.
Well, that takes all the power away.
But, it's like, okay, you just basically go off of the things that are in the public record, and you compile those things, and you create almost a compilation of, a written history of In Living Color. So I don't know, because I remember the individual who wrote the book was on Breakfast Club. This is several years ago. And I remember being very interested, but then when I hear the Wayans brothers aren't involved, I'm like, eh.
There's also a statement here, maybe I should read, from the author itself as well. So he said, fans are not quite loving the situation defending Marcus J. Moore and his right to pay homage to the crew. In 2020, he also published the book Butterfly Effect, How Kendrick Lamar Ignited the Soul of Black America. In April, he wrote on social media this: "It is my extreme pleasure to share with you the cover of my new book, High and Rising. This book has been a labor of love and struggle over the past 4 years, completed in the wake of Dave's passing and my mother's death. Part of it wrestles with grief and mourning in public and how to move forward when the body and mind refuses. High and Rising is a cultural biography, with critical analysis. It's also a memoir that not only celebrates De La, it unpacks my coming of age. At the behest of friends and colleagues, I'm asserting my voice and perspective a lot more in this book and elsewhere moving forward. For those of who ask, Marcus, what are your thoughts? This one's for you. Ultimately, High and Rising gives flowers to De La for inspiring a black boy from Landover to be his genuine self. It doesn't give passes to albums and attitudes that were less than ideal. It honors my family. I'm embracing what the universe keeps telling me I am. Pre-orders alive. With love, Marcus. And Marcus is involved in hip-hop community.
Then why not talk to De La Soul about
That's
it?
my thing.
That's
Because
what I was going to say.
But who said that he didn't? Maybe he did and that they didn't respond or something like that.
This is true.
I kind of equate this in the same manner to, like, does this mean that nobody should ever do an album review? Does this mean that we shouldn't cover certain topics if we don't have permission from certain people to do? Does this mean that we shouldn't sample if we don't have permission?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a playback to De La as well. I'm just saying, like...
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, but to me, I think it's... When we talk about De La, we know that they've kind of been screwed royally when it comes to record deals and all kind of things that sort that they shouldn't even have to worry about. But at one point in time, they gave their whole discography away for free just because they didn't own it, essentially. They just wanted everybody to have it. But I think this is just an unfortunate situation where a fan decided to do something and maybe he didn't go through the right paths to clear it, because if he's selling it, I feel like De La should get some kind of percentage.
that's
So even I don't think anything is necessarily wrong with him actually doing it, but it's a book. It's not like an article that's going to be featured in like a magazine or something like that. It doesn't have the same ties as somebody that's just writing a passage in a magazine. So if he's selling a book and it's available in bookstores and it's talking about the life and times essentially of De La Soul told from his point of view, I feel like they should have some kind of compensation in it. And that's kind of the short end of it to me. I don't think it's any bigger or smaller than that. As far as you telling my story, I should get something off of it.
Yeah, I guess I just don't agree at all. I mean, like, I understand.
agree that they need something off of it.
No, yeah, exactly.
But they should ask for permission.
No, I don't even really think. I mean, I think most likely he did probably ask for permission. Like, I do probably think that. I mean, he seems like somebody who does his due diligence based upon who he is. But, like, how many books out there are written from somebody's perspective about something that is just talking about a specific thing? Like, it almost comes down to an argument of, like, freedom of press and freedom to share thoughts in that manner. I don't know. I guess I just don't really agree with that. Like, I think I can look at this from an interesting duality of, like, I understand that De La Soul is probably extremely sensitive around their IP based upon the history of the things that have happened to them.
Right.
Yep.
Like, I can acknowledge that, but to potentially be pursuing legal recourse over somebody who was a huge fan, but somebody that obviously covers hip hop because he's got a book about Kendrick as well, to go to the length of wanting to, like, sue somebody over this. The only
Did he say they wanted? So they do want to sue him for writing it, because they didn't say
they're exploring
legal options.
Because they didn't
legal
say anything
options.
about a cease and desist, and they also said that they weren't telling people not to necessarily buy the book. They're just saying that we didn't create this.
I don't think they have any type of legal precedent outside of the fact that the cover is yellow and it looks like 3 feet high, right? Like, they use the same type of what's the word?
Iconography.
Yeah. So, like,
and plus it's pictures of them on it.
that's the other. Yeah. So that's the other piece. Like, so I think, like, with that specifically, yes. Okay. I think potentially, but if I just want to randomly, like, I made an essay documentary about CeeLo covering all the things that, that a lot of the stuff about him, and I spent a lot of time putting that together, and I did it in as good of taste as I felt like I, should have and did.
Right.
Does that mean that we can't do that anymore? Like, we can't, like...
I see where you're coming
it's
from.
like...
I can see where you're coming from as far as that's concerned. But when it comes to, like, you mentioned there are pictures and things of that thing in there. So they should at least be compensated for their likeness being in this book, so to speak.
I think that's where I I fall in line with this is their likeness being used, obviously. And I just think De La has been, to Lone's point, and he talked about their history. We've all been aware of their history. We've all alluded to it. They've just been conditioned to always be on the defense if they see something that they did not authorize or something that may go against what they vouched for, what they obviously put their stamp of approval on. I will say though, after hearing Lone read his full explanation, I thought it was very well written, and it doesn't seem like it's coming from a bad place. The way he broke it down, and he also included himself, his family and experience in dealing with loss, tying that into them. Maybe if I had heard that first, maybe my opinion may have been a little bit different, because that part right there made me think a little bit more about it from the writer's perspective. But at the end of the day, it's just, my face is on the front of this book. So just throw me a bone and keep it moving.
From that perspective, I can see like the actual physical face
likeness. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and just to kind of tie it back into some of the things we've been through, was like, look, on that documentary, it was my face and my voice.
2 documentaries.
2. And on the other one, it was your face and your voice. And it's a weird feeling, because you're like, oh wow, all these people are going to see my face and my voice, but at the same time, it's like, all these people are going to see my face and my voice, and it could have been completely out of context. Right. And you can take worst case scenario with this, because sometimes when you become just a part of the public, you become a part of the public. Like, I don't know if anybody remembers. I can understand if you completely erased it from your memory. Lex Alexander was in a Michael Jackson.
Oh my God! Please don't bring that up.
That was not authorized in any way by Michael Jackson, the Jacksons, anybody,
or any Lifetime movie for that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
And so, like, if they can wind up doing something like that and not get sued, a whole movie about someone's life, of course they couldn't clear any of the music. It was the same thing when they did, basically an unauthorized biography of Aaliyah, and they could the only music they could put in there was the songs that she had remade by other songwriters. Nothing that was actually an Aaliyah song was in the movie. So honestly, a book, like, there's part of me that has a level of curiosity about it, just because I don't have any other context or no other, like, they haven't released what they're going to do, and I think that's part of it, because it's like, hey, wait a minute. We're working on something. Yeah. And for lack of a better term, you could be the biggest super fan in the world, but you beat us to the punch for us being able to tell our own story. Yeah. But at the same time, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate, but it is. Look, just like there's already a Michael Jackson movie, but there's about to be for lack of a better term, a real Michael Jackson movie. Yeah.
And there's also 19 Batmans. So there's that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Now it's different. Different. But still at the same time, like, if 19 Batman movies can exist, then surely multiple biographies or multiple things covering the legacy, especially if it's in a mostly positive light, most likely, or from somebody else's perspective. Yeah. Why wouldn't you? It just seems it's a very, I just hate this. Like, I hate it when either the mechanisms aren't in place to properly support everything, and I hate it when they don't align. But I also just hate the idea of, like, shutting fans down that want to pay homage and cover in a positive way and stuff. And I'm saying this obviously selfishly from somebody who's spent half my life doing this at this point, as far as like covering music and writing articles about people or making videos about people or talking about people on this show. And essentially we don't really get anything in return for anything. Right. So it's like, I guess I myself, in the same way De La is maybe sensitive, I'm a little bit sensitive to the other side of it, where it seems like this guy, Marcus Moore, is doing a solid. Now, granted, yes, he's an author and he's making money off of it, but like, he could have covered a tribe. He could have covered somebody else. I don't know. Maybe he couldn't, because this is obviously part of his life. You know what I mean? But
this too it's not anything that's new under the sun as far as people unauthorized biography, so to speak. When it comes to a journalism point of view, I guess it's fair game from that. But again, using somebody's likeness and things like that, that's my only concern as far as compensation wise. I don't think that they should give a higher percentage to De La for writing this book but I feel like he should at least throw him a bone or something
That's
on the
all.
back end. But at the same time,
They
too,
don't want it.
They lie.
wanna put out their own book,
They're going to
probably.
tell their own story
Yeah.
the way that they want to tell it.
Yeah.
So nobody can tell you a story like you. So I mean,
Yeah, I think to me again, I think the only potential from a legal standpoint, and even just from like an ownership standpoint, like this is Marcus's book. You know what I mean? It's his thing. And so like if he as long I think, you know, obviously you can kind of see the picture here. This is what they posted on their Instagram, but it's like it is their likeness and it is
Their story.
It's their story, but at the same time it's his story about them. And that,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But I'm talking specifically about like how the actual images that we're using, the font type that was used, all that is actually De La Soul's.
Facts.
So that's actually making it feel like it is De La Soul's to an extent.
Which is I'm assuming very triggering to them because that is the font, that is the color palette.
That
All
is
that's
their
the same.
faces.
Yeah.
And their faces, yeah. So I can see why they
So,
might be triggered.
From that perspective, I can agree. But as far as like the piece of work, nah, I can't. I respect, but like it's just kind of a weird thing, man. I don't know.
I think it's dope to actually see these situations pop up and actually come from a good place. Because we've seen alternatives where sometimes people just put out a whole bunch of BS and slap somebody's picture on it or likeness. This guy seems to be genuine based off how he broke it down and described it. So I can respect that. It's not coming from a bad place, based off how he described it.
Yeah, and I guess if they're slandering them by any means or something, then they can just sue them. So I mean,
True.
there's a whole lot of that going on nowadays.
Man, they suing out here left and right.
Keep lawyers out of hip hop. No, actually, we need lawyers in hip hop.
Sometimes we need them.
Yeah. Because some of y'all are doing some genuinely foul stuff and lawyers have to get involved.
That part.
yeah. All right. Well, I hope positivity for both
Everybody
sides
involved.
on this, and I hope
Peace, love, and daylight.
Peace, love, and daylight.
I want De La to win, but at the same time, like
I don't think
it's just one of those weird situations.
I don't think this book will undercut anything that they have prepped for next year. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. So
Yeah, if De La
Because
Soul.
people don't read.
right,
Well, that too.
that part.
Yeah, but if somebody if they put out a statement, I follow De La on basically on all their socials. They're like, hey, we have a book coming out on June 17th. I'll be first in line to get that book.
If it was from De La,
If it's from De La, there is a certain level of curiosity I have for this book as well. But curiosity led me to watch that terrible Michael Jackson movie with Flex Alexander.
I didn't make it all the way through that.
I didn't make it all the way through, but I'm not going to cap and say I didn't watch.
That's why God took Flex's house.
Oh man,
I
put that in the air like that.
but I also think too, like when I think of like how the modern ways that we're moving towards with content and everything like that, when we think about the Kendrick stuff that just happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it a lot. A bazillion other content creators talked about it and gave their perspectives at the same time.
They did.
All of it at the same time does one main thing for the artist and whatever we're talking about. It amplifies whatever that is for that artist to work to exist in whatever it is. And at the end of the day, people can make up their own determination based upon whatever it is, or people can comment and be like, oh, this is actually wrong, or this is whatever. Like, I don't know. I feel like the way that it's moving I don't feel like this is a legal thing. Like this is, I don't know. Anyways.
For a group that's missed out on some bags, it probably makes them feel a little different.
I'm sure it does.
Versus like, with the new way things move, that actually gives the artist more credence and more eyes on them and more, publicity. So
yeah,
with De La, I kind of feel like that ship is sailed. So they're trying to be able to capitalize on all their gains. So I understand it.
That's well said.
I feel
bro.
what you're saying.
That's well said.
I get it, but because I missed out on something, like I don't want to make it
Hold that
worse
over.
for other people. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, like I built this thing. What's the whole quote about? Building something. Planting trees is where you won't see the fruit and stuff like that. Sometimes you got to take that L, man.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyways, legends.
Facts.
Dave Bluntz, who is a rapper, I guess somehow affiliated with Juice WRLD. I don't know to the extent because this is just not my world. So Iowa native Dave Bluntz set the internet on fire with his performance on a couch, assisted by an oxygen tank at Chicago's Juice World Day, and that was this last Saturday.
Sorry I missed that.
Yeah. Mr. Blunts also dissed hip-hop's royalty Snoop Dogg during his performance in Chicago. Well, I don't know if he's really dissing him. He was just kind of replying to Snoop.
Yeah.
Laughing at him. Okay. But let's just, here's a quick little video of that.
Lord have mercy.
Now, I'll say this.
Jesus Christ.
I'll say this.
Talk to me, Lone. I need help. I need you to help me.
I don't really have a problem with somebody sitting on a couch and rapping. It's a little weird, but I've seen it done before. But I will also say that I have some inside information on this, only from the fact that I know one of my students literally went to it.
Okay.
And showed up to it.
Okay.
And the little Yachty was apparently there as well with Kodak Black. Corday was the one name on there that I was like, oh,
okay.
I'd like to see Corday. But he told me that it took 25 minutes to get him on stage. They had a problem with the couch.
What was wrong with the couch? You don't say.
I don't know, man. I honestly don't know how I feel about this. I think that I honestly don't really care when it comes down to it.
That's what I was looking for.
Like, I don't care about Dave Blunt's rapping on a chair with an oxygen mask or oxygen tank in Chicago. I think it's weird, but I think it's like more concerning. Like, who is his people around him?
That's the question. When I saw all of this, the first thing that came to my mind was, who is around him? I'm talking about the inner circle people that make the choices, that do the bookings, that do the travel. Who are those people? The mom and them, the people that care about, who are those people? That's what I'm looking for. Because I've never seen anything like this. I haven't.
No, and I heard the performance was garbage too.
We are in a social media clout-based era, so I see a lot of people that are just kind of jumping on the wave because it's the thing that people are talking about, and there's no consideration or thought put into the actual product or what's actually going on the stage. But I've never seen anything like this ever in my life.
I mean, it's just as simple as being I'm not trying to shame this dude, but he should be ashamed to be that damn big.
It's a bar right there, boy. A bar.
Okay, so when we go back to the whole Snoop Dogg thing, that Snoop said something about him being in the video at one point in time, pretty much saying that he needs to put down the cup.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that's what happens. And Lil Bibby said the same thing after this past weekend. But I mean, it comes a point in time where you have to take ownership on what you're doing and what you're putting in your body, especially you walk around looking like this. You got an oxygen tank. You have a couch on the stage. I mean, I know it's part of your shtick, so to speak. But
God bless the couch.
Come on, man. That couch done been through it. I don't know how many shows it's been.
Listen,
man.
It's rough on the couch. It's rough on the people. It's rough on himself. I mean, he had to do it with an oxygen tank, man. Yeah, and that's just not a healthy lifestyle. And you're at a show supporting Juice WRLD, who died from an overdose.
Yep.
And you're as big as All Outsides, rapping about you can't put down the cup.
Yeah,
and that's just,
or the knife.
He can't put down anything.
Can't put down anything.
It's just ridiculous, man. And it goes to show too that you can literally live your 15 minutes out in real time nowadays, just based off of just going viral online for something.
I think this is the prime example of, to Terry's point, Terry just hit on something that's important. I think this is the epitome of when we say things go viral and it doesn't take much. I think this is the epitome of what I'm talking about when I say that, in terms of just upload some stuff, put a little work in. If people catch it and it catches fire, boom, you're going to be performing. That's literally what this is. I don't see the value any other way other than fam just got super popular, got us following, shout out to him, but it worked. Whatever it was worked, and he's on stage on a couch, not putting the cup down, getting wheelchaired to the stage. That's the world that we live in. Now you can literally do that and get put on. That's where we are.
Look, it just goes back to what I've said more than one time, but it seems to apply on a regular basis to the things we talk about. People would rather be famous than great.
Man.
You know, and the thing is, I've always been a big offensive line type MF. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've never been a small person, you know, but at the same time, I can get up and move around. Like, dude is basically an invalid in his 20s. out there with a wheelchair and a nurse and an oxygen tank and a prescription couch. Like, and this is not something that we should celebrate or cheer for, you know what I'm saying? Because like even if I don't care about his music, even I don't care about his associations, you know, like I don't want you to die at 27 of a heart attack.
Facts.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
that's the
saying?
case
Like,
right
and
there.
this is where you're going.
Yeah.
You know, so like so when Snoop Dogg, and the thing is, a lot of times, this is the thing about hip hop, you know, especially when you talk about men in hip hop, sometimes our love comes from a harsh and a kind of mean place. But you know, when Snoop Dogg says like, yo, you need to put the cup down, like, he's not saying anything wrong, and he's not saying anything to hurt you or insult you. You really need to put, like, because if you're this big and you're also got, you know, also have substance abuse problems, it's like you're just exacerbating the problem. And like maybe Snoop could have, however Snoop said it, like I honestly think it comes from a place of love, you know. So
He doubled back down on it too because he's seen the video of him pretty much saying F him. So Snoop watched the video, laughed at him, and said, "My bad, nephew. I even apologized the first time." He was, "I must be old, man, because dude on my head." But I mean, he should be happy that he actually acknowledged him, even though he acknowledged him for being big as all outside. He still acknowledged you, and you're in a space where people probably generally care for you. I mean, you got beef with Lil Bibby for saying the exact same thing. Because there's no way he can go on tour that damn big.
No,
I mean,
That's
what
just
tour
one
bus
show.
is going to put up
but
with that?
that goes to the generation that we're in. I'm not surprised by anything. I wouldn't be surprised if this kid don't even sip any of the things that he talking about, but it's working. Like I would not be surprised.
He do something.
I mean, but I think that's my thing too. I mean, Jay touched on exactly what I was going to say, which is like, it's not just about the fact that he's a big dude.
Yeah.
Like he's also like putting this lifestyle out here. Like this is not good for you. Like you can't be this big and also advocating for drinking the purple stuff at the same time. Like you
And
already
popping pills.
You already have health problems.
Yeah.
Like get your stuff together, man. Like this is not there's not a lot of longevity here.
No.
Like this is not going to last for a very long time.
And this is deeper than the music, bro. No. I think he'll use that as a cloud or something when somebody talks about him or talks, you know, especially if they have a name, he's going to flip that, get on stage on the special couch and just say Snoop or whatever. But a lot of these people, I think, are coming from a standpoint where it's real life. Like, fam, slow down, young fella. I'm assuming in your early 20s, like this ain't it. This is not it.
I mean, that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, like
I don't know his music, but like bro, like that, you should not be drinking purple stuff that big, be on stage performing, and have an oxygen tank on stage.
That, sir, is why.
Like, what are you doing? I hope you have good people around you, or getting good people around you to help that situation.
He don't have real people around him. Not with this.
And
I don't
Probably
believe it.
do. They're probably
On the
benefiting on him being a spectacle to everybody. But look, I'm not paying to go see this dude sit on the couch. Like I went to one concert. It was Currency. He had to sit down because he had broke his leg.
Right.
That's the only reason he was sitting down, and he had the stage set up like he was in a living room, and it was cool. He acknowledged, hey, I got to be like this because I broke my leg. He stood up a couple times, but I understood why he had to sit in that chair. You have an oxygen tank, sir.
Well, technically, he has to sit on that couch too.
No, yeah.
Because it took him 25 minutes to get him on that stage, to get him up on the couch.
Yeah, man.
He's not going to stand up while he's performing. That's not going to happen.
I'm not going to see that.
Well, once again, I mean, this is for because I feel like if anybody watches, it's going to be our younger fans or whoever.
Yeah.
Who will get forwarded to and who's going to be hating in the comments.
They probably don't like it either.
Yeah, but it's also like
Chase the clout.
If y'all are going to sell your dignity, please don't sell it for this cheap. And that's part of the thing that I am most frustrated by with this generation of hip hop. You know, to be the old man yelling at cloud. I just feel like there are too many young people selling their dignity for entirely too cheap. And you know, don't get me wrong. Like I understand the intention is very alluring and it can be intoxicating. You know, people say like that you get a dopamine hit every time you see a like, you know, on your social media. And imagine somebody's hitting a bunch of likes, whether they actually like it or not. That might be you can't see the sarcasm through the likes. And there's a high that comes from this. But the thing is, in a year, either you're going to be not famous or you're going to be in a bad situation as far as your health is concerned, and nobody's going to care. You know, so I don't know, man. Like, this is just something that I want. Once again, I can't say anything else other than young people, please stop selling your dignity for attention. It's got to stop somewhere.
Yeah, this is a situation where I would actually be happy if he used this to get some sort of a program or TV show, even where he loses the weight.
Yeah,
if he ends up on the TV show, the 600 pounds, My Life, or whatever, if he ends up on that, and the doctor got to talk to him crazy to make him lose weight and get the surgery. Well, no, I'm not mad at that. If he uses that to help springboard a healthier lifestyle for himself. Because, I mean, at this point, I mean, we ain't laughing at you talking to Snoop Dogg telling him to suck your D.
Nah.
People are laughing at you, bro. Yeah. So,
and the thing is, I don't know if you're talented or not, because I can't, all this extracurricular-ish, I can't see past that to see if maybe you might actually be talented. You know,
I've heard his lyrics. I personally, I prefer not to get into it.
Okay.
Put down the cup, sir.
Put down the cup. So, podcaster / influencer / adult film person.
Jesus Christ.
Adam22.
He right, though.
Yeah, I guess.
Says that Kendrick Lamar and his super fan followers remind him of Donald Trump. Adam suggested that Lamar's fans are just as delusional in their bias as supporters of the incumbent president. So here's a little clip of that.
Jesus.
Kendrick is like the Donald Trump of hip hop now, and let me tell you why. Donald Trump's fan base is kind of like a cult, because no matter what Donald Trump does, they never find fault with it.
This is bull.
Can do things that were they done by the Democrats, everybody would be able to agree that they were
Drake had
wrong.
the popularity vote, did he not?
But here's the thing. Now we have Kendrick superfans who are telling us actually buying plays and payola. It's actually totally fine. It's actually like you calling out the payola and the bots makes you wrong. And that's something I have not seen in my life outside of Donald Trump.
You know,
I specifically brought this up last week when we talked about Kendrick, that actually he's looking at the wrong MC, or if you even want to call him that, in this particular situation to compare him to Trump. Somebody doesn't want to concede and take defeat. This is Trump 2020 when we talk about Drake. And if you're talking about super fans on both sides are doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Actually, when I log on, I see more people that are so-called Drake fans talking about Kendrick and why Drake is the best because his numbers are this, and he still outsold him, and he's trying to do this, and people to listen to Kendrick are this, that, and the other. So I don't know if you're saying it because you're not a big Kendrick fan, Adam22 or whoever you are.
Or he voted for Trump.
Or he absolutely voted for Trump. You can tell by his mannerism. He just has that that vibe on him. But yeah, I think that's the reason why he's comparing it to that, because he's obviously a Drake fan. And he's not seeing the side that I'm seeing, because I don't even get into it with people. I just watch the stuff come through my news feed,
Right.
and it's always somebody, at least on my end, Drake, somebody supporting Drake that's talking about what Kendrick people do. It's kind of like the iPhone Android argument too. It's the exact same thing. iPhone people always talk about Android phones, and people with Android phones just sit back and be like, all right, but
but our phone did that 2 years ago.
I have a better product, and that's it. I don't care about a text bubble going green just because it's a different device. And I kind of equate them to Apple phone users and Trump supporters.
Yeah, kind of.
I like that one. DJ Vlad's little brother's on bull, bro. Like this, I don't see this at all. And Terry made a very good point about how this has been covered, and it's never about what's in front of you. It's always an attack on or not an attack, but the comment is based on the fan base. Oh, Kendrick people are like this, and Kendrick people are like that, and Kendrick people are like this. And that, to your point, that's all I see on mine as well. So I just continue to scroll. But nah, this is cap from what I see. This is, we don't do what he's talking about. This is cap. I don't even have too much more to say about it. That's just, nah, I'm not going. What you think, Jay? I'm not going.
Look, what's more Donald Trumpian, if you will, than losing and then trying to get lawyers involved?
Come on.
Exactly.
Come on.
So, I mean, you can say all this stuff about bots and this, that, and the third, and And then we were like, well, these same bots. And when we bring up those same bots benefited Drake, people are like, oh, well, that was different. Or, it's different. Look, man.
It's red on Friday. That's different.
Yeah, you just got to understand, you got people who are going to take up for somebody who is supposed to win, if you will, but lost in a fantastic fashion. Not this time around, but first of all, yeah, you can't compare Drake to Donald Trump now. Donald Trump won.
Yeah.
Tough. That's tough.
You know what I'm saying?
But I guess he's more so comparing the fan base, right? So he's specifically talking about the cultism that is MAGA and the alleged cultism that is Kendrick support. But even if we just talk about it, I don't.
Does Kendrick have that type of?
I mean, maybe that's
following?
maybe that's a blind spot to me. But like all the people that I know that like Kendrick more than Drake are qualified to give their opinion on why Kendrick is better than Drake. It's like it's just what it is. Like everybody that I respect has that opinion. It's just I don't know. Whatever. Cool. You can like whatever you want to like, but
that part.
But at the end of the day, it's like I don't really see a lot of Kendrick stanism like that. But I do see Drake stanism, and so maybe that's just my own biases in there. I don't know.
Sometimes I go through just the comments on threads. I just like to be a fly on the wall and kind of pick up, see what everybody's doing. And it's always the same thing, man. Like, for some reason, like hip-hop blogs will pop up on my Facebook timeline that I don't even follow.
Yeah.
And it's like the headline is, this is why Drake is responsible for Kendrick's success and why he owes him an apology, why Kendrick owes Drake an apology. That's the type of stuff that pops up on my timeline. And then a bunch of people in the comments pretty much explaining why Drake is the best and Drake is this and Drake is that. And Drake is the farthest string from hip hop at this point. And there's a lot of people out here trying to move the goalposts in hip hop. And they actually have no cultural bias as far as how this is supposed to go. So somebody like Adam 22 saying, and I know he has a successful podcast and whatever he does, he's not qualified to sit up and tell me that Kendrick fans are part of a cult when the exact same thing is going on both sides, and I actually see it from a different vision, and I'm seeing it on the other side.
Yeah.
So the only reason I said that Drake was Trump anyway is because he doesn't want to take that loss.
Right. That part.
Trump is still not taking that loss for 2020. And he's not going to ever do it, especially now that he won. He's going to double down on that.
As far as he's concerned, he's won 3 presidential elections in a row.
Yes.
Yeah. He's going to be the first person to say, I should have been here. It should be me coming in, like you said, on the third trip. Facts.
Yeah. And another main difference here, too, and why this analogy that he's having is just stupid, is because the MAGA supporters are actually a cult. And the Kendrick supporters and the Drake supporters are just super fans. They're just fans. They're not like going out and voting for them. Like there's no impact on lives whether you like Kendrick or Drake or whether all that stuff is like.
No policemen were assaulted.
Yeah, no vandalism.
Yeah.
So
no tiki torches.
Mm-hmm.
None of that.
Yeah, he capped. This is cap right here. Like I need examples. Show me some examples.
I'm interested to see what his comment thread looks like.
Man.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member. All details on newoldheads.com.
Shout out to our partners. We appreciate all of our partners. They've supported us for a pretty long time at this point, man. So salute to all of them. We, as I always say, love to continue to, work with those relationships for real. We appreciate the support as always. Shout out to the chat, y'all lit. There's some comedy in there.
So, a couple of Queens rapper Nicki Minaj's past tweets about Drake benefiting from Spotify have resurfaced on Twitter. Following Drake's recent legal filings against Universal Music Group, the tweets were from June and August of 2018. Let's look at this and discuss a little bit more. Nicki Minaj's tweet about Drake benefiting from Spotify resurfaces amid UMG dispute. So, Nicki's past comments about Drake benefiting from Spotify have resurfaced following the Six Gods legal filings against Universal Music Group. Back in 2018, the streaming platform featured Drizzy on the cover of all their editorial playlists, even those not including his music, such as Best of British, Massive Dance Hits, Fresh Gospel, to coincide with the release of his Scorpion album, which earned a staggering 732,000 units in its first week. We kind of talked about this on our episode on Sunday, but not really the same. But at the time, Nicki criticized the move on X, then Twitter, while venting about her issues with Spotify, writing, "Spotify put Drake's face on every playlist, but told me they'd have to teach me a lesson for playing my music 10 minutes early on Queen Radio. Even though they've been giving away my music for free for years, I am one of top Spotify's artists of all time." So there's the tweet, as you can see, Spotify, that's what she said. So the post has resurfaced in recent days amid Drake's bombshell legal battle, with UMG, who he accused of using streaming bots payola to artificially boost the popularity of Kendrick's hit, Not Like Us. One of his pre-action petitions alleges UMG gave Spotify a 30% discount to license the track, and that somebody connected to Interscope, Kendrick's longtime label, parent company is UMG, paid thousands of dollars to fabricate 30 million Spotify streams.
It be your own people, don't it?
First of all, the irony in a tweet from one of his homies and label mates, I think they still in the same situation. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I won't use that then. But the irony of it coming from her and then it resurfacing. So it's what we've alluded to, and people that have common sense have alluded to, is that you've benefited from what you're complaining about.
I guess I don't fully understand the angle here. What am I missing?
It's basically saying, hey, you've benefited from the same thing that you're complaining and want to sue about, and I'm complaining about it before you even sued about it.
Yeah.
It's basically like she's not even trying to do it in real time. It just happens to be these old tweets
they can be applied today.
They can be applied to exactly what you're saying about Kendrick and his situation right now. When we see what they did with Scorpion to boost your numbers to where, you're almost at 800,000, equivalent streams or equivalent sales, if you will.
I see.
For your double album Scorpion, and you're put on a playlist called Soul Coffee.
Right.
I see. So this so this is going more to the point on this argument about the money from the labels being put into Spotify to advertise in particular types of ways that we've been talking. Okay.
And she was complaining about it back then.
Yeah.
And you could literally take a snapshot of hers and apply it to what he's applying to Kendrick. That's the irony in it, that it's coming from his homegirl, from 2018.
This is supposed to be your friend.
Yeah, but she's spot on. Well, what she tweeted back then, it applies perfectly. So that's what people are talking about. It's like, how funny.
How dare you?
Yeah, like
when they put you on Soul Coffee's playlist.
Come on, man. That's exactly.
He was on the cover of Rock and Roll playlist and all kinds of
Yeah.
It's like, you know better. I don't really have a whole lot to add on this because, it's obvious. He benefited from it. We've already discussed that, and Nicki called him out, and now it's relevant because people dig up tweets. Simple as that.
And she didn't even realize she was calling her own homie out, but you called him out.
Oh, she knew what she was doing.
Well,
because
it really hurts now, though. It really hurts now.
Because quite honestly, I've said this before. Like, Nicki has done everything that these white folks have asked her to do, and she has not gotten the due that she's supposed to get.
Yeah. Nicki does not bite her tongue, if you haven't noticed. And it doesn't matter that it was Drake. If it was Wayne, she probably would have said something too. Nicki is not one of the people that holds back, and if she got something to say, she gonna get it off her chest. Drake benefited from it, and she's not benefiting from it, being that she said that I'm one of the biggest artists on this label, on Spotify. Yeah, and he's able to do this, and you told me that I can't even play my song 10 seconds or 10 minutes before it drops on Spotify on my own radio show. So yeah.
So hey.
Just more.
Shout out to Nicki for trying to expose the machine then.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, to my point too, like, if you're not one of those big artists, if you're not like, it doesn't matter. Like, we can yell at the top of our lungs for as long as we want.
You're spot on, Lone, because Nicki was, what'd you say, Jay Moore, back in 2018? She was out there, but she wasn't Drake, to Lone's point. It takes somebody like that for you to really get a chance to, possibly get someone to listen or be.
There was one point in time where they were probably neck and neck as far as popularity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different ball game now, but still, right is right and wrong is wrong.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Somebody lost a battle and decided to create a lawsuit or wanted to question the
Call
lawsuit.
the manager.
And
Yeah.
we know where that's from.
Hey, man, no Aubreyism.
Shout out
Shout out to
to Il Brown.
And a clip from Beehive TV, ATL. Legendary hip-hop producer Manny Fresh talks about the importance of roles in recording sessions and how important it is for the producer and artist to listen to each other in that process. So let's play this video and...
There's a disconnect with what, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying all young artists, but a lot of young artists can't take direction. And the way we work is I'm not going to send you a beat. You know what I'm saying? If I can't sit there and do it with you, if I'm not in there with you, it don't make no sense to me.
Yeah, I ain't in there, you out of there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, would you hire somebody for to tell them what to do? You know what I'm saying? I already know these dudes can rap. I'm not going to tell them what to do. You know what I'm saying? If you stumble on a word, then I can say, hey, you stumbled on that word, but I can't tell you the art of how to rap. Right now, it's like you'll hire somebody, but you will tell them, but you know, I want it like this, and can you do da-da-da-da? And I'm like, why don't you just let me do what I do, and you concentrate on what you do, and the magic gonna happen.
Come on now.
Come on now.
Come on now. That's Juvie in the background, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that was Beehive saying that.
I'm talking about Juvie to the right of Manny. Yeah,
I was talking about the come on now. That is very much a
shout out to Beehive, man. He does a great job.
He really does, man. He's one of those people I actually check for his content.
Yeah, he's got good content. Okay. Lone, what do you think about what Manny is saying? Because there's a couple ways we can look at this. Some would say Manny's a legend. He's one of the GOATs. But this thought process is outdated because we are in the digital era of send, zip, send the session, send the file, get it done, send it back. And he's still talking, coming from the standpoint of the organics. You've done both. As a producer, you've done both. Yeah. So what are your thoughts?
Have you, Major Sam?
Yes, I have. I've done both. But I'm curious to see what Lone thinks about this, because I think I know where he's going, but I just want to see what are your initial thoughts about what Manny says and how that relates to, you know, the era that we're in now.
I don't know. I think there's something to be said about being in the room with somebody. You know, that's probably where most of my best work is coming from, just because you're able to bounce ideas off of people, and it leaves it's less for questions sometimes. I don't know. But I think depending on the artist, you can still not be in the room, you know, but I do think that being together is important. I don't know if I have a lot to say about this, to be honest. Like his where he talked about like, yeah, I can help you. It was a little confusing because it sounded like he was saying at first, like, I don't want to be, like, I want to be in the room when we're working together. That's what he was saying, right?
Right.
But at the same time, he's like, well, if we're in the same room together, like, I can help you fix a word, but I can't help you understand how to rap. I don't really understand where he's coming, because I feel like if you're in the room with him, you can help him help the rappers in that manner.
Here's what I think he was saying when he said that. I think he was coming from a standpoint of, I can correct you if you know, like he said, just mess up a word here or there. But he's more alluding to the fact of, I'm not here to teach you how to rap because I respect that you know how to rap. So that's why he used the example of the artist saying, well, I want you to do this. You start moving his hands, kind of telling the producer how to arrange the beat and how to do that. I think that's where he's coming from. It's like, no, I understand what you're here for. I respect that. Do the same for me so that we can make this magic together. And I think that's the part where that's the question that we ask is like, can people really be on the same page? Because there are artists that you can't tell them anything. I don't care what you say. Right. That's
what Manny Fresh sounds like to me, is somebody that you can't tell him how to make a beat. He doesn't want to hear you say add an extra cowbell right there. He's like, I'm doing me, I want you to do you. But like I can kind of respect what he's saying as far as wanting everybody involved in the project to be in the same room.
Right.
Because there's a lot of great albums that wouldn't exist if that hadn't happened. But on the flip side, there's a lot of great albums that have happened without everybody being in the same room cohesively as well. I think it just kind of depends on the person, depends on the artist, depends on the producer when we're talking about Manny Fresh. But I do think it should be a collaborative effort. Like, if we're doing a project together, I think my input on what you're doing musically should be the same thing as your input that you're telling me from a DJ point of view, where if I'm rapping, that you can tell me to do certain things here. I mean, that's how magic happens as well.
Right.
You're with your peers, you're creating something magic. Just because I wrote it don't mean that it's great. And now that he said that, some of them verses from some of them Cash Money records, it's obvious you probably should have told somebody to write some other shit.
Yeah, I think now that you talk about that, like I guess, yeah, I think there's like a line around, like, I don't know, it's like an invisible line. Like, how much do you respect the person that you're working with?
There you go.
And it's just like you trust their vision of it. And how much do you, like, as a rapper, right? I'll speak from them, a rapper, me a producer. It's like, how much do you respect my vision and the thing that I have when I'm producing whatever the thing that I'm doing? Like, am I producing this record or are you producing this record? Who is the executive producer? And I think there's a balance of it's like a relationship essentially. It's like there has to be a certain type of respect there to where they respect what I'm doing and that I respect their input depending on what it is.
Right.
And if that doesn't exist, then I don't really want to be a part of it, to be honest. It's just, I'll just go do something else. Like, I can just send you a beat and you can just go work with the engineer or something, you know, like, but like, I think the best work comes from people that have that relationship to where it'd be like, hey, you know, I think it may be cool if you could switch this up here or maybe
or
change.
If it sounded better if you said this verse like this versus you saying it like that.
Yeah.
And to me, the artists that seem to, you know, excel are the ones that usually put out that top tier, that good product. And this is not across the board, but usually those are the ones that from my experience that I've seen that have a little bit of enough humbleness in them to at least listen. Because when I was younger and making music and stuff, you get excited about the beat. Just take it. All right, cool. Hey, I'm on there, so it's cool. Now, if somebody tells me, well, I don't need all the drops in it and stuff like that, I'm like, well, what you come to me for? Well, why did you ask me to come here? Like, that's the part, like the drops and the arrangement and how this comes in and how this comes out. That's what you came to me for. In my mind, that's what you came. I think, so I could see where his frustration would come from in that. But Manny, eons beyond me, so he's probably to the point where it's like, nah, I'm Manny Fresh. Go look at the plaques. It'll be ready when you get back.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to work with me, then we're going to be in the same room. And you got to respect
And he can say that. He's in a position to say that.
And I think I think that's a great approach to have in general. I think if you can do it that way, everybody should do it that way. You know, there's also time and money constraints and space. You know, like not everybody lives in the same place. But I also say too, this is also why like because I can approach this very much as like when I used to like send verses to people and I lose control of like how I would put my verses on a particular record or something like that. I don't like that.
There you go.
But I'm also a producer. So it's like I have that extra, you know, like I put my stuff together the way that I want so that my best foot is always forward. You know what I mean? So putting that trust in somebody else, I can also acknowledge that like, you know, like sometimes it's like, nah, like I want it to be this way. I want it to be perceived in this particular fan. So there's a little bit of that just, I don't know if it's ego necessarily or if it's just insecurity maybe.
I think ego's in there a little bit as you become more established and you've put your 10,000 hours in. There's certain stuff that you just don't want to deal with.
But I think for me specifically, me wanting to like, I'd be like, yo, like, don't make me sound stupid. Or but also like I don't know, like I don't really think when I talk about it, it's not really ego. It's more so like I just want to make sure that I sound the way that I envision it.
But finished product.
So I think for artists, MCs, vocalists, and stuff that are working with producers that are a little bit more vocal than others, because some people just don't care. They're just like, that sounds cool. Which is weird to me because I am the opposite. Like I am that person that's super anal retentive about that stuff. So it's like I don't know, like. I'm the type of person that I would record my own verse for a feature and send it to them and be like, this is the reference track.
Yeah.
This is kind of what I want it to sound like. And then I will send it to them so that they can put it together. And then I'd listen and be like, all right, that's cool. Or it's not. You know
or it's not, yeah.
So, but yeah, I get both sides of that. But generally speaking, as the producer on projects, which I've done more of, I do like to have that control to be able to, I think it's just a creative thing. When you got two people that really want to have control of something, that's a good sign for your project. You just have to find that balance.
Be able to have that uncomfortable at times conversation with to your point about the end goal, which is the final product.
Yeah.
Jay, you got any thoughts about what Manny said?
I mean, I'm just thinking about how, you know, some of the most successful producers in the history of music have always been kind of taskmasters, you know, and it just wasn't like you're going to I'm going to send you a beat. You'll send it back, and I can't give you any direction on how this is going to sound with my music that I either compose, produce, whatever. You know, you got to think about, you know, when you rest in peace, you just recently Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
Quincy Jones anything that he's ever put out was not the first draft or what somebody just sent him, and he's just had to, you know, work around it. You know, Norman Whitfield, some of you know who that is, from Motown fame, and went on to do his own thing. You know, even we talk about somebody like Dr. Dre. I remember I saw a story with Too Short where he's made him say basically bitch 50 times.
Yeah.
Until he got it right. Song never came out.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll hear it one of these days. But I mean, there has to be also a level of respect between the performer and the producer. And now we're in a place where like people just think, okay, this is just a beat maker. He can't really tell me nothing as far as what I'm supposed to do with my vocal performance. And that's a relatively new thing. I'm not so much, you know, for people criticizing lyrics, but you know, if it's how you're going to say them and how it's going to sound over my music, then those are the things that I understand a producer saying, hey, no, we need to do that again. But, you know, like I said, we're talking to Manny Fresh. This is a guy who's been, you know, probably produced records on reel to reel, you know, in the latter days of that. You know, the Pro Tools sessions, just sending them back and forth. You know, we got to realize we haven't always had this level of high speed internet. At one point, they might have been sending it through ISDN lines. Some of y'all don't even know what that is. So, you know, he has a different perspective. If you're somebody who's just been producing in the last 5 to maybe 10 years, you know, you've always had high speed internet to where you can send a whole Pro Tools session inside of an email. But then, you know, at one point you couldn't send anything larger than a photograph in an email, much less a Pro Tools session.
And I've had some dope stuff sent to me via email, and I've pieced it together or chopped it up, edited it, sent it back, and we sent it back and we got it right, and it came out beautiful. So that happens, right? Yeah. But if you ask me my personal preference, especially if it's an artist that I feel like I have a connection with or somebody that has crazy potential, I'd love to be there. I'm not saying for the whole ride, but just be there some so I can get a feel for who you are, because to me, that grows the project. As we get a chance to be around each other and you hear ideas and have the uncomfortable conversations, to me, you're sowing into the project when you do that.
It just makes it a better project altogether to me. That's why a lot of artists, they be like, for example, Tyler. Yeah. I want to say maybe he recorded like an album in like Hawaii or something crazy like that. And then, you know, not Kendrick, but Kanye always has his recording compounds where everybody that's involved with the project comes together and we record it together. I mean, I just think it makes for a better, unique situation. And also when it comes to even the raps, I literally just seen an interview of the DLC talking about how Snoop would just rap a whole bunch of stuff, and DLC would come in and be like, well, why don't we take what you said here, eliminate all that, and put these together, and we just go through and do a whole bunch of those, and we come out with a whole nice song, versus I'ma just play you this beat and you just rap your ass off, and then that's the song. Somebody helped him make and create that moment in time because they were present, right? Versus you just sent me a beat and now the beat is mine, and I'm going to give you your ownership and this, that, and other, and this is what it's going to sound like when it goes out. And I don't see anything wrong with that either, but I understand what Manny's talking about as far as being in the same room with people and recording the project.
Tell you what, though, Terry, that's a naked feeling when you send it out and you get it back, and it's like, nah, that's not necessarily what I was thinking, but you've already done your due diligence on your side. I sent it to you, so it's passed now. It's already been mastered, so I gotta just live with it, and this is what it is. But that's a bad spot when it doesn't come out like when it doesn't come out exactly how you thought it would, we'll say.
Yeah, and I think also, like, when you're in the same place as somebody too, like, those conversations can happen in real time, so you're saving time as well.
There you go.
There's less chance for something to get misinterpreted, or you're not going to waste your time as much. It's just like, all right, cool, this is what it is. You can knock something out like in 30 minutes that would take a week and a half through emails.
Yeah.
So, yep.
No, shout out to Manny though. Listen, Manny Fresh is one of the GOATs. So, brother, if that's what you do, in order for you to get down with Manny, that's the rules, that's the play.
Right. Well, we ain't heard no new Manny in a while.
Manny probably working though. It's just
I'm sure he's a musician, so he's always working.
He probably working. Manny might be out getting license placements that we don't even know about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But salute to him though, man. I'd love to be in the studio with Manny. I wouldn't say a word. I'd be over in the corner. What you need me to do, sir? 100%.
Get that coffee.
Yep. That part.
Smooth Leader says, is it hard to tell someone their verse isn't going to work?
Ooh.
Obviously, Manny wasn't telling nobody that. That's what I picked up on this. He's like, you the rapper, I make the beats. I already know they're gonna write a rap. I'm like, he probably should have gave some constructive criticism here and there on some of.
What you say, Terry? Would you say Terry? He knew better.
Yeah, but Manny wasn't much. I mean, Manny wasn't the person to be critiquing people's lyrics.
That's very true.
Well,
I mean,
not from a rapper perspective.
And plus, Manny was pumping out 150, 200 beats. He ain't no time to be going through all. He was working on getting ready for the next artist.
He said, "Can't stand it, Dick Bandit." I'm just saying.
He did say that, didn't he?
Can't stand it, Dick Bandit.
Like, there are certain things
Right.
that you hear now, even though you've loved the song for years, it might stand up to you. Be like, man, what were they thinking about? Just like when I
They
listen.
probably weren't.
I mean,
They probably weren't.
I listened to the Chronic probably about 2 weeks ago.
Be careful, man.
No, I mean, and I don't, because Dre, he had other people write his lyrics.
Yeah.
So I want to know, was it Snoop? Was it DOC? Which one of y'all wrote, like Luther Vandross, I'm f***ing up the West Coast? What was that even about?
Oh.
What? I don't even know.
I'm trying to even think and understand.
Dang, why would you?
Yeah,
That's
I don't
actually
know.
a good one.
Or like
That's foreshadowing to 2024 when Kendrick dropped Luther Vandross sample song
There
called
it
Luther.
is.
that's how you
And
break
it
things
messed it
around.
all the way down.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna go
Where
with.
was alluding to Luther Vandross's character in Meteor Man, where he was a gangster.
Like when he had the gun on
Yeah.
people.
I like that one, Terry. I like that one.
I'm just coming up with off the top.
Yeah.
Of my head.
Yeah. Or like
I like loans though.
or like
Foreshadowing.
when we let Slim Thug get off with he said GameCube Nintendo.
He did say
He
that.
said he really dropped that. Like, I'm like, were we effing with the GameCube like that? Do we put it in rap lyrics?
NewOldHeads.com for all the education you need this year. If you see it, like it, subscribe to it. Also, hit any bells that you see for notifications. 5-star ratings is what we expect at this point. If you don't give us a 5-star, you hating. And also check out our Patreon options. A lot of exclusive content coming your way. We appreciate the support. See y'all next week.